webpage. There we go. So again, welcome to our May provider call. We've got a packed agenda today, and my name is Lori Bridges, and I'm with the Office of Early Childhood, and I'm going to fill in for Tanya Williams. She has a conflict and may be possibly joining us as soon as she gets out of that meeting, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen. Thumbs up if you are seeing the Office of Early Childhood slides. Let me get to the beginning. Thank you. Okay, so the first thing we're going to cover today is the local leads organizations that are being implemented throughout Arkansas. And I want to take just a minute before we get into the local lead work to introduce Jennifer Douglas. She is joining us at the Department of Education, and she will be overseeing the local leads work for the Office of Early Childhood. So I have added Jennifer's contact information here and just wanted to welcome her. And she is coming to us with a wealth of knowledge in the early childhood world and has worked in Independence County for the Batesville School District and done a lot of their local partnership work with their school district and early childhood programming. So she's going to be bringing a lot of expertise and knowledge in this area for us, and we are excited to have Jennifer join our team. So local lead early childhood organizations. The LEARNS Act has stipulated that the state appoint partners with local early childhood lead organizations. And these local lead organizations will be charged with supporting access to early childhood programming, identify gaps in services across our state, foster local partnerships, create alignment among public and private providers and agencies within their community, and establish a comprehensive locally supported plan for providing early childhood programs and services. And again, this will be that local to state partnership to help us at the state level have a better understanding of community needs in the area of early childhood. So again, the LEARNS Act has helped us develop and push these organizations out into communities. And I'll share with you briefly in a minute how this rollout has happened, and you will be able to see if your community is represented with a local lead agency. But the Office of Early Childhood team, we will establish this statewide vision for early childhood and have that consistent vision and alignment to funding, policies, and initiatives. We will identify and empower and fund a local entity in every community in the state. Again, the LEARNS Act has said every community will be represented. And so we are working on that rollout and phasing in a local lead in every community in the state. So this will create those basic expectations and guardrails for local leads and hold local leads accountable for outcomes in the area of early childhood access and in their areas. We will provide ongoing support and flexibility for those local communities to foster innovation and elevate best practices in the area of early childhood. Now, the local leads, as that community partner, they will serve as that single public-facing captain responsible for strategic and administrating early childhood leadership in your community. So again, providing resources and leadership and that communication piece that we sometimes lack when it's always coming from the State Department. So again, we will be pushing out resources, information to those local lead agencies, and they will be pushing that information out to their local community partners. The local lead will also build relationships and trust and credibility with the community partners and seek feedback from the communities. And continue to build and support that community strategic plan based on the needs assessment in those local areas. So again, just to kind of take that language of the LEARNS Act and help us see, I'm going backwards, that right now we have 12 local lead agencies in that cohort 1 that were funded early in the year. I'm saying probably in the fall, we got them up and running, and we have these 12 counties in Arkansas that have the local lead agencies, and we've got their contact information. So last week, we were fortunate to award another cohort. So we have cohort 2 now that represents 65. With cohort 1 and 2, we have 65 counties in Arkansas represented with a local lead organization. So you can see, you know, we've still got some work to do. The counties that are in the white currently do not have a local lead agency, but again, we're phasing these in, and we feel like early fall, we will have these 10 counties represented in our local lead agencies as well. So again, these were the first 12 that are stood up, and we have the point of contact listed for that local lead agency. If you are a publicly funded or early childhood early learning facility in one of these counties, it's going to be imperative that you work together with your local lead agency to support early care and education in your county and local communities. And then again, with the addition of cohort 2, now you can see more counties that are represented. And if you are located in one of the counties that are represented by cohort 2, we will be updating our local lead webpage, which is connected to the Office of Early Childhood website under the Department of or the Division of Elementary and Secondary Education. And I'll share that that link to that webpage with you in the chat. And then that way, like I said, this cohort 2 group, they have just been announced, and we have just had our first kickoff with the cohort 2 agencies. And so we will be updating our webpage and with those point of contacts information as well. But you can be assured that they will be reaching out to you in the near future to partner with them on helping us as a state, you know, help the access to provide more access to early care and education, and to partner to provide resources and supports in your community. So that is just a brief overview of the local lead organizations. And again, we will be sharing the link in our in the chat, where you can go and keep up with the most updated information around our local lead organizations. The next thing on the agenda is we want to talk about what academic approval means. And again, the LEARNS Act requires that each early learning center approved for licensure by the Department of Education and receives public funds shall meet all health and safety standards previously required with minimum licensing requirements. So that is one of the requirements of academic approval. The second requirement, and this is kind of a lengthy definition, but I wanted to take it exactly from the LEARNS Act. So you can see the wording and then how we are responding to that in the Office of Early Childhood to support the academic approval. But the second part is that all early care and education systems established from this law regarding kindergarten readiness will be approved through the State Board of Education, and they will be required to participate in the Unified Early Childhood Care and Education System, which is our local lead entities to support a unified accountability and coordinated enrollment. So in layman's terms, I wanted to kind of help all of our early care and education programs that are licensed and or received public funds. So to receive that academic approval, again, participation in the local early childhood lead organizations will be required. And again, those activities will be things such as child counts, so we can see where the needs are across the state, coordinated enrollment. They're going to be our information campaigning, and they will be providing outreach for our early care and education programs across the state. They're going to continue, they will foster innovation for those programs that are, implementing innovative ways to, research-based ways to ensure positive child outcomes and elevate best practices around early care and education across the state. Participation in Better Beginnings and receiving an accountability rating is also required for academic approval. The third piece that we want to share, I know a lot, there's been a lot of talk around the state on the CLASS pilot project. Currently for, any publicly funded provider, they were participating in our ERS assessments to support their Better Beginnings levels. Well, again, the LEARNS Act is requiring that we have a coordinated effort around quality in the state. And so that has led to the CLASS pilot project. And we are starting phase 1 of this project. And the CLASS assessment scoring tool, and it's called CLASS for short, but it is a classroom assessment scoring tool. It measures the quality of teacher-child interactions. It's correlated to educational outcomes for children, and it's used in classrooms serving children from birth up to 3rd grade across the nation. These evidence-based in-depth measures will help inform a consistent definition of early childhood quality across our state. It will show how well our classrooms support children's growth and development and provide teachers and leaders with actionable information to improve. And I want to kind of take, I want you to notice that the circle down here at the bottom left, because it is helping us as a state have a focus on the importance of teacher-child interactions in that impact the growth and development of children. So we're going to have a unified focus across the state. We will use the CLASS tool instrument to help measure that and how to improve our classroom interactions with our children. So again, it is a growth model. It is this CLASS scoring tool and this pilot project is going to help us get a baseline of where we are in the state with this. And then we will be phasing in more providers as we go. I have also, and I will be putting this in the chat as well, but we have, and I'm going to share these slides with you, so you will have access to these slides to share with your team at your facilities. But there's also on this frequently asked questions, you can click on that and it will take you to a FAQ document. And I'm not going to read through all of this, but all of those questions that you have and possibly putting in the chat around the class pilot, we have taken any question that we can think that would be asked and put it in a document with live links to help you learn and understand the class pilot project. Get back to our screen. So the class pilot project, I do have, let's see how we're doing on time. I have a brief video that just a few minutes. Let me make sure.
Imagine checking your own heart with medical precision from anywhere. Introducing KardioMobile 6L, the FDA-cleared personal EKG.
Economic research makes it hard to deny that investment in early childhood development is the smartest strategy that we can make. There's really no more fertile period of time for investing in human capacity.
We're having a national debate right now about effective teaching. We're focusing in ways that we never have before on the importance of the teacher that is in the classroom with the children. What we're learning is that there are elements of what teachers know that are important, but it's far more important what teachers do with children in those classrooms.
That is delicious. Okay, I want that. Okay. All right. Make that now, don't forget.
Dozens of studies now from all across the country converge really on that finding that it is the qualities and nature of interactions between adults and children that are responsible for the learning and development of those kids. There are a lot of ways to define quality. Our way of measuring quality involves observing the interactions that occur between teachers and kids in those settings. We use the classroom assessment scoring system to do that. We've been able to show in almost thousands of classrooms across the country that indeed when one uses a standardized, reliable way of looking at interactions, that what we're looking at is predicting children's learning and development. When we look at the interactions that adults have with kids, we generally think of them in terms of how emotionally supportive is the adult toward the children? How much does the adult organize the child's activity and attention and time in the classroom? And what is the adult doing to foster cognitive development and stimulate language and conversation with the children? On the emotional side of things, we're looking for how warm those interactions are. Does a teacher genuinely enjoy the child? And is there some reciprocity in that enjoyment?
Oh, Fidelis said we have to cheer for him. So we gotta say, go Fidelis, go Fidelis, go Fidelis, you can do it, go Fidelis, oh, you did it.
A child should feel that they are supported in their growth of self-esteem and their use of curiosity and persistence and resilience, all the types of lifelong management skills that we want every individual to have find their seeds in these very young years.
Can I help me make it like this faster? Okay, first go a line here and then point here and then make the ears. I help me like here. Okay, that's how you do it. That's too funny. Sorry.
We also pay a lot of attention to how teachers manage time and manage behavior and activities. So we like to see teachers structure learning environments in ways or learning activities in ways that allows kids to move and allows kids to make noise and allows them to really kind of express themselves individually. I think one of the more important elements that we see of interaction are the ways in which adults provide ways that stretch the children's thinking.
Number 10.
Is 10 on the top? Or should 10 be on the bottom?
I don't
Okay, then what comes before 10?
7.
What's this one?
9.
So 10,
Child might be fiddling with a puzzle or trying to learn a new word, and the teacher wouldn't give them the answer, but would just come in and try to offer some hints that would help the child perform the task at a little bit higher level, hopefully have an experience of success, and then celebrate that success together.
would you be able to show 0?
No 0.
You don't have to show 0. Why? 0 is how many? How many is 0? Nothing. Excellent. Good job, Jack. You know your numbers really, really well.
The ability to actually measure, assess, and then support effective interactions in a classroom has given us a great opportunity.
We're opening up a field of understanding, measuring, and improving the quality and effectiveness of teachers' interactions with kids that I think has enormous promise. I think it actually has the potential to move education forward.
Let me get back to our screen, but that was just a brief overview of the class, the assessment tool and what it measures. And again, we encourage all of our early care and education programs across the state to start researching the Teachstone class assessment tool. We are using the 2nd edition in this pilot project. And let me get back to. So how the pilot project is going to be rolled out. If you are a provider in one of the first 12 cohort catchment areas, so look at those areas that are represented on this map. If your program is located in one of those counties, and
Oh, Agnes, I'm on a director's call. Will you give me one? Huh?
You just want.
Lori, you've muted yourself.
is that better? I was trying to help a friend out that I had unmuted and I think I muted myself. But again, the project is going to be rolled out. This will be phase 1, but know that phase 2 and phase 3 and eventually everyone will have the opportunity to be involved with this project. But the first phase will be located in those cohort 1 catchment areas. If you if your Better Beginnings recertification is due during the 24-25 program year, that will qualify you for phase 1. And or if your ERS evaluation rotation is during the 24-25 program year. So what we have done is if you've met those qualifications, we put out surveys trying to get more information about your program. And we have identified programs that will be receiving confirmation from their local lead agency by the end of May on those programs that will be participating in the phase 1 class pilot project. Okay, so that was a lot. Again, we covered the local leads and how we have now increased from approximately 32 counties to now 65 counties. We have covered the academic approval requirements for publicly funded programs, and that is, meeting all health and safety requirements, participating in the local lead work in your community, and participating in the Better Beginnings to get a quality rating. So I am going to stop sharing, and I am going to put the presentation link to this presentation that you can take and share with anyone in your facility or area that may be interested in this. And I will be sharing the FAQ for the class project pilot. And I have my information, my contact information as well in there. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And I am going to turn it over to my good friend and colleague, Jamie Ward, that is going to be sharing some work that her team is doing with Curricular Concepts.
All right, thank you, Lori. Can I get a thumbs up that you can hear me okay? Thank you. I'm sitting in a parking lot in a very rural community in our state, so I wasn't sure how this was going to go. Balancing my laptop on 3 fingers. Okay, so nice to meet you all. First of all, if I haven't met you, I'm Jamie Ward with Curricular Concepts. And thank you, Tanya, Lori, Paige, all of you there for giving me just a few minutes to share 2 incredible opportunities for you all as providers. And so I'm going to share my screen right quick and go quickly through a few slides. Here we go. Lori, can you see these? Can you give me thumbs up? Okay, good. You're the only person I can see. So for the last 4 years, we've been implementing a staff well-being program here in Arkansas called Be Well, Care Well. Some of you may have participated or be participating now. And we've gotten a really wonderful opportunity this year from a philanthropic organization to expand on what we're currently doing. So we are right now recruiting early childhood programs sites to participate not only this next school year, but the school year following this one. So I know it's hard to think about today, much less what we're going to be doing in 2 years, but we are planning for that now. So I wanted to just briefly share with you what Be Well, Care Well is about. And Sarah Norwood will be putting in the chat links to an interest form if this sounds like something you might want to learn a little bit more about. I should also say off the top, this will be very high level. Next week, we're going to do a 1-hour informational session. And so we'll be sharing the link to that as well if you want to come and hear a little bit more. So what is Be Well, Care Well? I'm sure if I could see your faces and ask for a raise of hands, I may see some hands raised if I ask you if staff recruitment and staff retention have been heavy on your heart and mind. And Be Well, Care Well is one way we have found that programs have been able to address some of the things that have really been challenges to keep to recruit and retain really good staff. So Be Well, Care Well focuses on the 8 dimensions of wellness, and you see those here on the screen. We really think about wellness in terms of this holistic approach with the social connection piece really being woven throughout each of these. We know how important it is just in general human behavior to be socially connected to others as we try to make any sort of change in our lives. So the social piece is really important. So Be Well, Care Well is a 12-month program where we provide a well-being coach to your site. They come into your program and do a 1-hour orientation, and that's with all staff. So all teaching staff, administration, van drivers, cooks, anyone employed by your site would attend this 1-hour orientation to hear what is Be Well, Care Well about, what are the goals we're going to set forth for the upcoming year. And at the end of that, there's an interest survey that all the folks who attend would complete, which will help identify 1 or 2 of those 8 dimensions of well-being that I shared in the previous slide. So your site would have a well-being coach, at each site, there is a well-being committee formed with 2 or 3 people. Usually you can probably think of somebody on your team who's really, really enthusiastic about health and wellness, and that's the person we'd point to first, and then we'd bring along a few others to join that committee. And then to help the well-being coach and the well-being committee create goals and think about activities and strategies to focus on over the year, we have a well-being activities guide, knowing that sometimes when you're stressed or burnt out or whatever it might be, it's a little bit hard to identify goals and strategies. So we have a well-being activities guide meant to be that, just a guide, to help come up with some of those things. So the first step is the orientation. The well-being coach then begins to visit the site twice a month, and just work with your staff on whatever goals they've laid out for the year. And we've seen a number of different things. I have some examples I'll show in just a minute, but each time they visit, they're bringing goodies to the staff that align with the goals. At about the 6-month mark, we're able to help purchase what we call a well-being incentive package. So we've seen sites who've created a little relaxation space for staff that might be just a little nook and cranny in their facility, because we know space is sometimes hard to find, extra space. They may bring in exercise bands or something like that if folks want to try to focus more on their physical health. We've got a number of other examples, but these are the 3 main components. These are some examples of some things that we've done in programs. We partner with so many folks across the state: Cooking Matters, Credit Counselors of Arkansas, just a number of different local community resources, state resources, and so on. So depending on which of the dimensions of well-being the program decides to focus on, our coach finds resources and so on to support those goals. We have surveyed our first round. This was actually a couple years ago. We are doing another evaluation of the program, but just a couple of years ago, these are some results that we had from a program that we had worked with. So 81% of their participants observed positive changes in coworkers, and 97% of participants experienced improved health and well-being. So those are the things we want to see. I also have gotten so many emails and even written letters that have said things like, "This is the best thing we've ever done for our staff. It's increased job morale, it's decreased job stress," and so many other outcomes that we want to see. Here's just some fun pictures. You can see we've done state park challenge, water challenges. We do a lot of team building things. You can see here the escape room. Here's a little relaxation space. So all sorts of things.
Okay, Jamie, you have to unmute
Okay,
yourself.
I did. Thank you. Yeah. And then, well, having a little trouble here. Oops, 1 second. Okay, so again, this is super high level. We're going to get way more in detail in the information session next week, which Sarah should be putting in the chat. If you are interested at all, we would love for you to scan this QR code. This is not committing to being part of the program. This is just saying, hey, I'm interested and want to learn more. And we'll invite you to the information session, or you may be hearing it and say, oh my gosh, this is exactly what we need. And so you may want to commit, which is fine too. But we want to offer that to you. This is at no cost to you. I should have said that up front. All being funded by just a wonderful funder who's really inspired by what you do and wants to be able to support you by expanding this project. So that's Be Well Care Well, and I'm going to take 1 minute and talk to you about this event that is also at no cost to you. It is being sponsored by Nemours Children's Hospital and the CDC, and it is Active Minds, Active Bodies, all about physical activity in early childhood. It's happening in June in Greenbrier. And we are just going to spoil every person who comes, and also learn a lot about physical activity in the infant toddler classroom, the preschool classroom, how to bring it in, physical activity and inclusion, and a number of other things. So again, there's a QR code there if you want to register. That's at no cost to you either. So thank you so much to all of you for letting me share. And I'm happy to take questions in the chat, or Sarah will be dropping our contact information there if you want to reach out to us afterward. I will stop share. Thank you, Lori, and everyone else that's on.
Thank you, Jamie. And that is so true. If we are not taking care of ourselves, it is so difficult to take care of the children that we serve. So some great opportunities that Jamie and her team have put together with Curricular Concepts. So I do encourage you to reach out and get involved in those. Okay. While we're transitioning to our guest speakers, I want to make everyone aware that I have shared the slide presentation that I utilized for the local leads, the academic approval, and the class pilot project. There was an error in the slide deck when I put the local lead cohort 2 map. It was incorrect. So I have put the correct map link in the chat for that cohort local leads. Thank you, Paige, for bringing that to my attention. I've got too many maps going on my computer, but the correct cohort 2 map is on the chat. And I've also gone ahead and linked cohort 1 map, which it was correct on the slide deck, but I went ahead and put that in there if you wanted it individually. Jamie and Sarah Norwood have put some information links for the Beware Care Well initiatives and that physical activity summit. So make sure you grab those links out of the chat. And then I'm going to turn it over to Debbie Whitman.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for asking me to share about the ARPA grants. They came at such an amazing time, obviously, after we had been through COVID. When I saw the amount of money that we were going to be able to get, I decided to use them for long-term projects because I had been in childcare for 25 years and had a lot of manipulatives and toys and books and all the good things. So let me back up here. I'm from Madison County. I live in Huntsville. It's a very small area, very rural area. Our street is not paved. So one of the first things that we done when I received the grant money, we had a very large patio poured in the front of our house so that the kids play on it. They use it every day. We had our old sidewalk removed and we had this lovely patio poured, and the parents really appreciated that because when it rained, you know, we're rural and a dirt street, so we had mud issues. So that has helped so much to have that lovely patio that the kids can play on. There's been a lot of artwork done and a lot of running and tricycle riding and a lot of skinned knees, but we're very grateful for that. Another thing that I decided to do, we replaced 15-year-old appliances. We also, I have a list here because I can't remember everything that I did, so I need to look at my list here. But we replaced the appliances. They were had been used long enough, and it was time to replace them. We put new siding on our home. We had purchased a property prior to COVID next door to us that we had wanted to expand our fence so that the backyard would be bigger. So we used that money. We used part of that money to build a new fence where the kids now have a 1/4-acre playground in the backyard that they can run and play and do whatever. We also, I opened a retirement account, which helped me, you know, meet part of the requirements for Better Beginnings 3. we revamped our back deck and added a 4-season sunroom so that we can, we use it daily. The parents come here. If we have parent meetings, parent teacher conferences are held here. And like I say, the kids use it daily. We also added 6 raised beds. We bought soil, we bought the beds and the plants and seeds to do that. We've been enjoying those for the last 2 years. This year we planted radishes first thing, and the parents have been able to take home the radishes if we have extra. And the kids love being able to pull those and bundle them up to send home. We've also been enjoying strawberries, fresh strawberries for the last couple of weeks. And that comes from the grant. Those are things that, like I say, I wanted things that was going to be long-term and not just something that, we would use for a while and then it would be done. I was able to create an office space in my front sunroom. The parents come in, the kids' cubbies are there. The sign in and out sheet is there. Everything is right there so that the parents no longer come into my home, because my playroom was on the back side of the house. So they had to come through my house to get to it. So I created that space, which is great, making it's so much easier to say goodbye. It cuts down on shoe traffic, germs, and all of that. And cleaning, it just makes it a lot easier. Finally, I was able to pay a substantial amount on our mortgage. So that helped us within the past 2 years. We've been able to pay off our mortgage. And like I say, all of these things together helped me to level up to level 3, Better Beginnings. I was one of the first providers in Madison County to do that. And I was very proud of that. So the grants were amazing, especially after coming off of COVID, because I took care of children that were not in, or that were in school. I took care of those children for free. So, there was, it was just amazing. I'm very appreciative that we were able to get those grants, and I tried to spend every penny to make a long-term difference for as long as I do childcare. So thank you.
Thank you, Debbie, for sharing the exciting things that are going on in Huntsville. In the efforts of the ARPA funding that you utilized. All right, and next on the agenda.
I'm not sure Miss Sanji was able to get on. We have to check and see whether she was able to join by her cell phone. She was having technical issues earlier.
Okay, well, we will give Miss Angie a minute to see if she can't get in. Or we could move on and then come back, since we are probably getting close on time. So I'm going to go ahead, and if Sanji gets in, let us know, Keeler, and we'll get her back in. But we're going to move on and let Miss Kayla Bodie give some updates on the background checks.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Lori. So I am going to put a link to our website in the chat box so that you can go there to keep, regular updates will be posted there. You can kind of keep up to date on what's happening. But one of the changes that we are planning on making, so this was going to go live tomorrow. I do think that we're going to have a little bit of a delay. It may not go live until next week. But if you will please share with your HR professionals, any of your peers, anyone who is submitting background checks in your facility, or if you work with a co-op or you work with a school district, anyone that does early childhood background checks, we're going to be making a very slight couple of changes that we would just want you to be made aware of. Now that we have moved to the Department of Education, we have a new, what we call an ORI. It's an originating agency identifier. And those of you that submit background checks now are aware that that prefix is CHI. It stands for childcare. So the change that we are making is it is going to change to ECE for early childhood education. You will not need to do anything on your end as a provider. This change will happen automatically, but we want you to be aware so that when you are seeing those consent forms and when you go into your account to submit a background check and you notice that small change, it's saying ECE now, and you're so used to seeing CHI. We just want you to be aware of what is happening. So like I said, you won't need to do anything on your end, no changes. You won't need to make any updates, but the consent forms and the system will be changing. So again, this will more than likely not happen until next week. But over the next few weeks, those things will be changing. And again, I'm going to put a link to our website. I'm going to also put my contact information in the chat box. That way you can feel free to reach out. And I really encourage you to bookmark our section of the website for those changes. We will make sure they're all posted there. So that is it. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Kayla, for bringing that to our attention, because anytime we see a change, it kind of sometimes freaks us out. So just know that ECE is early childhood education. And again, this is an effort to streamline and align the work that we're doing in early childhood across the state. So now I'm going to turn it over to Brandy Ishman, and she's going to give us an update on our child care development funding state plan.
Well, thank you, Lori, and good afternoon, everyone. Just wanted to make sure that you're aware of the timeline that we're working on right now for our CCDF plan. As a lot of you already know, and some of you attended, so thank you for your attendance as well. We have completed our CCDF state plan public hearing. That was on April 30th. We accepted comments via our email address until May 3rd. So our next step is going to be the plan will go to the State Board of Education on May 9th, and we will be looking to have it submitted to our federal partners by June 30th. If you have any additional questions or thoughts regarding those, we can't accept them anymore as a public comment, but you can feel free to send me any emails or questions that you have. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Brandy. And I am going to take a couple of questions in the chat. We've been trying to respond, but one of the questions Kim is asking about the contact for their county. And I'm going to, and I think Kayla had dropped it in earlier, but I want to go ahead and drop in. Oh, sorry, I did a direct. Let me give this where it'll go to everyone. I'm going to put the website for the local leads, because again, the maps that I shared, cohort 1 had the point of contact information. Cohort 2, because they were just announced and some of them are still working on who their point of contact will be. So if you will, the last link that I just put in with the Division of Elementary and Secondary Education, that's the Office of Early Childhood local lead webpage. That is where you're going to want to go and keep up with the most current information around local leads and those point of contacts for your communities and counties that those local leads represent. Again, we will be adding those point of contacts. They've just been, informed, maybe going on a week now. So we're going to have to give cohort 2 a little bit of time. And again, they will be reaching out to the facilities in their communities as well. So don't feel that you have to reach out to them. They're going to be reaching out for some collaborative work and some community outreach, and they're going to be including all of the early care and education providers in their local communities. But again, keep that link handy. That's where you're going to be able to locate the most current up-to-date point of contacts for the local lead in your community. Let's see. Okay, well, Tanya, I may let you jump on and close this out. And we can, if there is a question that maybe wasn't answered, we can address those. But again, we've tried to share the links and those information, that information for everyone. And again, Tanya may have.
I'm on, Lori.
Okay, there she is. Okay,
Sorry,
thank
gang.
you.
We had a competing meeting. I hate to miss these, so I had to sneak in a little bit later. But first of all, thank all of you. We have a good crew today, and I'm really proud everybody was able to take some time out of your schedule to join us. Really want to thank the presenters. I got to hear most of it. I know Lori was presenting some things from the LEARNS Act, but specifically on class and the local leads work, and hopefully introducing Jennifer Douglas, who's one of our new team members. But I did see a question someone had posted earlier are we replacing ERS? And I just want to make sure that, I'm sure Lori covered this, but we are piloting class as part of the LEARNS Act. It requires that the state pilot a tool that's more predictive of child outcomes. And so we are using class as that tool. And we'll be piloting it this fall, starting with the school year. Actually, we're really in the pilot now. We're starting that selection process, and the training has been going on for the last few weeks. But I just want to talk about that for a moment. So for any of the programs that Lori mentioned, we're doing all that outreach right now for programs that are required to do a renewal for Better Beginnings or have an ABC requirement to get an ERS review this year. That is one of the first groups we're working with in cohort 1. So we're identifying those programs. Letters have gone out. We're continuing to do outreach on that. We will begin working with cohort 2 as that cohort of local leads gets stood up and working with that group of providers. So we'll have pretty good coverage across the state to have a really good pilot with good pilot data. But for programs that want to level up, in other words, let's say you're at level 2 right now and you see the new rates that we have proposed in the Child Care Development Block Grant and say, I want to go to level 3 or 4 to get that higher reimbursement rate for children on the Child Care Development Block Grant or voucher. You will do the normal process in Better Beginnings, which is following the environment rating scale and the pass and those other items that are required, just like Debbie Whitman talked about when she was working on all the things with her American Rescue Plan Act funding or COVID relief funding. She really focused on things that could really help her level up to that next level. So that's really for those programs that want to level up. If you're in the pilot and you are going through that process, you will stay at the level that you are. We will not be leveling up any programs in the pilot. They will, if you're a level 3 or a 4 program now or a 6, that's where you'll stay. The law very specifically says that we cannot cause harm to our providers during this process. So the only thing that would be happening is for any provider that wants to level up. We want to give you that opportunity, but again, we won't be reducing any scores during the pilot period. So just want to make sure everybody knows that. There's a lot of information that we'll be pushing out over the coming weeks to those that will be in the pilot initially. As Lori mentioned, it's phasing. So we'll have a first phase and a first group, but we'll have others that can be a part. I know we've had a lot of volunteers. We're trying to coordinate the organizations or providers that are volunteering into their local lead cohort to be a part of that phase. So just know that. And then I did see a note about the 10 counties, and I know Paige responded that we will have cohort 3, and we will be providing opportunities for providers in those 10 counties to also be a part of the pilot as we work through this process. But I just wanted to make sure you guys understood and answer that question about ERS. So we still have ERS. It's still promulgated in the rules for Better Beginnings. As we go forward in time and finish the pilot and review that data, we will be pushing out suggested changes that the public will have an opportunity to have input into. And I would say that's probably a year, 18 months or more away from where we are today. We'll have to get through the pilot first. So I see some questions in the chat. Lori, I'm going to try to take some of them, but just want to make sure that we respond to all of those that are in effect. I see Brandy's responding to some rate. So we have posted the new rates. Those will not go into effect until the state plan is approved on 10/1. So just know that the current rates are what's approved by the feds and what the state has in place. And if somebody can put the website in, or Brandy, if you can put that link in.
And Brenda had a great question. Her program is in a county for cohort 2, and she's asking, and they're up for ERS evaluation for the 24-25 program year. So yes, Brenda, you will utilize ERS for cohort 2 for your scheduled evaluation. If because what's going to happen in cohort 2, there's going to have to be some trainings, and we're going to have to get that cohort has some deliverables that they're going to be responsible for before they can get into the class pilot project. So for right now, if you're in cohort 2 catchment area, you will, and required to have an ERS for Better Beginnings or for ABC, you will utilize ERS for the 24-25 program year until we can phase that into your catchment areas.
Yeah, and I'll jump in. We're still sort of refining this process as we work through it. So just let me add to Lori's comment. If your renewal is like in the early fall, then I think that's a safe thing to do in terms of level, especially if you think you might be leveling up. And I would encourage you all to think about it that way and receive benefit from that. But if you're like in the spring, I would say just hold, because we're going to work through for cohort 2. We're really trying to push that into the pilot. But as Lori mentioned, we just announced those in the past 2 weeks. So we have to get those programs stood up and get them really grounded in the work and trained on class, and also get our team trained on class. But we'll be reaching out to cohort 2 programs and working through the local leads to sort of work that process through. So if you have real concerns about doing ERS, and I am hearing some concerns, we'll work with you offline and see what we can do, because we are in a pilot year and it does change everything for us in this pilot year.
Amanda, help me understand, what are you looking for on the OEC website, and we can possibly steer you in the right direction.
I believe it was the rates. We've added the link.
Okay, thank you, Brandy.
Good deal. I think we took care of that one. I don't know if Miss Sanji was able to join us. I know she was having some technical difficulties. If we don't get her or not able to hear from her today, we will definitely include her next time, and any other provider that wants to share. Debbie Whitman, thank you so much. It was good to see you virtually and hear about all the wonderful things that you've been able to do in your community to serve the children and improve your quality in your program. So just thank you so much for taking time out and sharing with everyone. We'll continue to highlight that work from the provider world and other work that we're doing as we go forward, especially as we begin the class implementation. We'll be looking for folks to talk about that experience and how it differed, or what their impression was, because we really want to hear as part of the pilot what's working well and what might be challenging. I encourage you to take a look at that video and the resources that Lori dropped in the chat box around class. I will tell you, I've had a lot of conversations over the past few weeks, and I think we have an incredible foundation to build on with the environment rating scale tool that we've used and all the other things in our Better Beginnings or quality rating improvement system. But I think we'll be very poised to be ready for that class tool, but it is very, very different. And so if you can take off your ERS hat for a minute and put it to the side and start thinking about a whole different way of thinking about it, it's very much owned in the program by the director and leader and the teaching staff. So I think it's going to feel and look very, very different, but I know you all are going to do really well on it. And I look forward to seeing how Arkansas moves forward. I think we'll wrap it up today. Everyone have a safe rest of the week. Our next call is June 4th, and I look forward to seeing you then. So take care and go serve children and babies out there. Be safe.